Hey Reflections, if you want to support this channel, go check out my Etsy store at Sacred Quantum Art. I created apparel like sweatshirts, t-shirts, all with my own artwork that I've actually created myself. Even things for the home like smudge sticks, abalone shells, artwork, you name it. Everything I actually use. So I'm really proud of this.
Yes, I agree. If lucid dreaming can be made to function for everybody, if it's actually real, then probably we can get rid of psychedelics.
We don't have to.
Well, this is a good place to mention a really interesting thing. I tell most of my groups this because someday some young researcher will hear me and follow this up. But here's an interesting piece of data. If you have smoked DMT at some point in your life, it's possible to have a dream in which the theme of DMT will be introduced and you will smoke it and it will actually completely happen. That is an important piece of evidence because what it shows is the chemical material is there, the mechanism is there. That's exciting. Imagine if you could just go into a brainwave pattern or something and begin to call it in. And it doesn't seem so far away if it's happening in the dream. They've done human sleep studies and they know that endogenous production of DMT in the brain peaks around 4 a.m. in most people. Well, this correlates well with the peak REM activity. It means probably that DMT is driving dreaming in some fairly profound way. Dissolving the boundary between waking and sleeping is a classical shamanic technique for entry into the invisible world, either by sleep deprivation or some other way. So yeah, this is a very good point. The world of sleep and the psychedelic world, the question is, why are we constructed so that we can't remember? It's so frustrating. This is our main problem, is the mnemonic problem, both with the drugs and the dreams. Why do we go to worlds of incredible richness and complexity which we cannot remember anything about? It seems a strange statement on the economy of nature, if there is an economy of nature.
Hey Reflections. It's been a while. I needed my space, or I needed some space, for me at least. When I am alone, I have the most creativity and inspiration and time to reflect, and I get a lot out of it. Before, I used to be really terrified of being alone and lonely all the time, but now all I want to do is just be in silence. I find that taking that inspiration and turning it into art and channeling that into art really helps bring understanding, because when I am in creating, I am in a meditative state or a state of reflection, and that just gives me time to understand and make sense of this experience and all of the lessons that I'm supposed to learn and understand, and how I need to grow, and what needs work on. And I kind of use my meditative states, altered states, I use them simultaneously. So I'll use meditative states and lucid states and hypnagogic states, all to grab information and see if I'm at where I need to be. And I find that my higher self usually will tell me when the next information needs to be understood, or what direction to go, stuff like that. So today we're going to be talking about third eye visions, the lucid state, altered states of consciousness, and how I get there, how you can get there. Can't really teach you anything, but I can tell you what has been working for me, and what techniques I use, experiences that I've had, and what I've learned. And I use my lucid state hand in hand with meditation and reflection, and working with the elements, and really making it a ritual, So I take time to work my third eye muscle because that's what it is. And like a muscle, the more you use it, the more you'll have experience. And again, it becomes this ritual. You do this over and over and over. You practice, and it does become easier. But the more I do this, and like sometimes you get cocky, the more like my higher self will slap me right back into perspective and realize there's a lot more that you could learn. So there is a lot I can still have control over. I can still learn to control my lucid spaces more, and there's more dedication that I can have. I'm obviously, like this is my life, but at the end of the day, like I do balance it out, because for me, at least, it could be really intense. And this is no joke, especially when you're like actually learning things from your hypnagogic hallucinations, or tripping within dreams and learning how to die, or working out fear or trauma that you have, or any type of anxieties. This is a lot of work. And this is what I use my altered states to do, to really improve myself, to really learn about myself. And it's so beautiful that it's terrifying. And there's a lot of stuff that you can't lie to yourself, or your subconscious doesn't lie to you, and your higher self doesn't really lie to you. There's this honesty, the truth of the matter, not the truth that you see in your 3D human perception, but you take a step back and you see, or at least for me, all the layers, all the aspects, or the perceptions, and you just see a lot of deeper truths within you, that something you need to improve on. Like for me, I understand that all of my fear, all of my anxiety is rooted within my fear of death. And I know that we are infinite beings having this experience, and we never truly die, but for some reason, like that programming that I have, that's something that I know deep within me, but I just have to keep on conditioning myself, to have that shift in perception, which ultimately creates your experience. So for me, a lot of my lucid spaces, or hypnagogic spaces, will teach me like the darker aspects of myself, the shadow aspects of myself, the things that I don't really want. Like when you lie to yourself, when you don't take on full responsibility or ownership of the situation, or character flaw traits, or just like things within you that really need to grow. These are what I use the tool of lucid dreaming for. So to get that out of the way. Now, for me, it all started with, in 2013, seeing when I looked at the back of my eyelids, like Terence McKenna says, I'm seeing a swirl of colors, and the colors are light green, like a yellowish green, and a bluish purple, and it's just like this swirl. And like that's what I would see when I looked at the back of my eyelids. And what I would do is, again, make it a practice, make it a ritual, do something, like make it an exercise. This is what I do every day. You know, like there's rarely a time where I just like pass out and like, you know, that's, I mean, it has to be when I'm really tired. Again, or another pointer, what I like to do is go to sleep, or do this, not go to sleep, but like if you're going to do this in a meditative state, I would do it, or even if you are going to sleep and trying to lucid dream, I would do it when I'm not that tired. That's what I would do. I would wait like an hour or two before I go to sleep. Like that's what I do, and like use that time to get into that hypnagogic, very meditative state. So what I do is like, don't go to bed or don't go to meditation, whatever you're doing this for. Don't do it tired. And if you're going to do this for third eye visions and like a meditative thing, prop yourself up on like some pillows, or like recline yourself, because when you do that, it really helps not falling past or falling into that sleep state. This is something to be aware of, because when I am laying completely down, sometimes I can grasp on into that lucid space for hours, and sometimes I just pass out. So what I like to do is I like to guide myself, and always try. Like it's going to be hard at first, but try. The more you do this, the more you make it a practice, the easier it becomes. And this is for the hypnagogic hallucinations, the third eye visions. This is what I do. I guide myself, and I look at the back of my eyelids. I look at that swirl, and this is what I, you know, always remember happening, like how it starts, and just keeping my focus of attention to right in the center. Like the way you see with two eyes, you're gonna focus that attention right in the middle, and you're gonna like just be right there with no thought, like nothing. Don't think about, you know, what your cat's doing. Don't think about what your dog's doing. Don't think about your friends. Don't think about what you have to do the next day. I like to do this in silence. I don't really like meditation tracks. It's why I don't do any, but I should, I think, because I know it's for some people, but for me, I like to do this completely silent. You can do this with binaural beats. That's the only thing that I would use, maybe a 432 hertz or like something like a theta state or something. That would be good. But normally I like to do this in complete silence. That is the best for me, or that's just how I operate. And I know you could be different. And when I do this, I'm guiding myself into no thought, and it's kind of like that point of sleep. You know, that right in that point where you're just about to like conk out and lose consciousness? Well, that's where you just want to hold on and guide yourself, and just like no muscle moves, even my breath, even the way I'm breathing. It's very low, it's very shallow. I don't like to breathe very deeply, because the disturbance of the noise, or the, you know, breathing in and out, that disturbance will again wake me out of that lucid state of consciousness. So low, shallow breath, like very slow. Don't move an inch, not even a muscle, like nothing moves. You're stone, you're like stone. And you go into the hypnagogic state. Now, when I get here, it becomes very bright. I see the sun sometimes, and I see the moon. These hypnagogic states can happen during the daytime and the nighttime. I have, again, researched this and worked on this on myself in different times, and I find that it happens more so in the nighttime, but I think it's because of the melatonin and like the darkness, that really helps. What I do is I use blindfolds a lot. That's always covering my eyes, always in complete silence and darkness, and that's what I do. If I could do it without any like sensory deprivation, even better. I find the less you are attached to here, the easier it is to have hypnagogic states or pop out of your body or be lucid. Like, you just have to be so detached that you're just like, you're like in between. You're in between sleep and wake. Different triggers that like other people use. I know for like, this is more lucid dreaming, is looking at the back of your hands. I'm just going to talk about everything astral projection, lucid dreaming, and hypnagogic hallucinations in this video, only because like that's just what I see. That's what, you know, like all the things that happen to me that I experience. And I know that a lot of you guys have been messaging me. Thank you so much. Like, that's literally why I started this channel, is to connect with people that have had similar experiences. And you guys tell me in the DMs, you guys message me and tell me that you also have experiences of the hypnagogic hallucinations or like astral projection. And it's really awesome because it just makes me feel like I don't feel alone, but I just never knew, you know, that many people to be open about these experiences. So it's really cool. Anyway, so we were talking about guiding yourself into a hypnagogic state and like just holding on into a lucid state. Sometimes now I don't think that I am lucid the whole entire time that I'm sleeping. In fact, I know I'm not. I know I go in and out of consciousness quite a few times. And I wake up in certain parts of my sleep state. And for me, like they seem like experience after experience after experience. But it's just really like, I can imagine we have thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of experiences in the nighttime, you know, like when you're in sleep state. I mean, you must have like scenario after scenario after scenario. There are times where like I would just have like different scenarios going on because I was bored of another one, or I would jump back or become aware, wake up in a lucid dream and like jump back into it. You know what I mean? So for me, at least, I can have more control over being lucid, because even when I am aware in my dream, I'm not completely, like they're like little hints your subconscious will give you that you're dreaming, and sometimes you don't really like pick them up, but pay attention to these signs, and constantly whenever you're having lucid dreams, pick up on these signs and exercise thinking in your dreams and becoming critical in your dreams and understanding, okay, this doesn't make any sense. You know what I mean? Like, I'm doing this over and over and over again. This doesn't make sense. This is a dream. And I find the more you do this, the more you practice this, the easier it becomes, at least for me. So that was lucid dreaming. A lot of my lucid dreams also will be very deep. Like, this is dream yoga, and when Terence McKenna says that, you know, you can take DMT one time and then, you know, a few years down the road take DMT in your dream and have a trip. Like, I've experienced that. So a lot of the times, like, they will be trips. I will be having an ego death. I will be learning how to die. I will be learning how to cope with dying and learning to understand death and learning to like death. And that's been like, you know, a whole series of dreams that I've had to do, was learning about death and learning in the in-between that state. Learning about like just like a lot of stuff about you. Like, that's what I use my lucid space to do a lot of the time. It's not really like just like, sometimes it'll be like this silly thing. Sometimes I'm just like having fun, you know, and living out my fantasies and building things. And, you know, like sometimes I'll be traveling a lot, and that'll get us into astral projection. But first I wanted to talk about the hypnagogic states a little bit more. So I'll see the sun and the moon a lot. I'll see patterns. I'll see geometry. I'll see like particle physics, you know, just these dots of like geometry. I will see computer code of all types. And again, comment down below if you guys have these experiences, because I would love to know. But yeah, I see a lot of computer code and all different types of computer code. They will be like sometimes binary. Then they will be sometimes like almost looks like one of those really long passwords, like those encrypted passwords, like that. Sometimes like there'll be like a series of letters and numbers. Sometimes there'll be dashes and dots and like again, like different like code. So like I'll see that. What else do I see? Like, I see a lot of like patterns, and it's just like when you're in the hypnagogic state, you're literally seeing your imagination, or the imagination manifested into light, into the lucid state, which I've seen that again in the lucid state. It's all about the imagination, and you see sometimes, I see sometimes the most beautiful things like stars. I see stars a lot. One time when I was in a hypnagogic state, and like I was again practicing guiding myself into a lucid state, what had happened was I had, again, focusing on the swirls, going into that sleep state, staying there, staying lucid, and then all of a sudden with a flash, all the time I see, that's another thing to look out for, whenever you see a flash. I see a flash, and then it was two people, two lovers, me and my partner, in the stars, and I saw the stars within us. And that was so beautiful. I was just like, oh my God, you know, like, you just, amazing things like that. It's just, it reminds you, you know, of who you are, what you are. Also, I will see a lot of black and white checkered, again, representing duality, understanding duality. This is something that I had a very hard time understanding, duality and paradoxes, a lot of numbers. I see a lot of numbers in the hypnagogic state, sorry. Couldn't think of the word. And I will see grids, I will see maps, I will see, like, again, it'll look like, you know, like Blender, like the X and the Y axis. That's exactly what I see. And then I see like these, like almost what looks like widgets sometimes. And again, these are like, it inspires you to learn more about mathematics and computer science, to understand what the heck you're seeing. It inspires you to learn more, and it kind of guides you. That's what I feel. My higher self is like, sorry, it cut off, guiding you into understanding what you need to learn. And like, that's basically, I use it hand in hand. I use the hypnagogic states to learn a little bit, then I use the lucid dreams to learn about a little bit, and now to the astral projection part. I'm sorry guys, I really wanted to be really thorough with this. I know this is going to be a really long video, but this is all of the experiences and the data that I've collected over the past 2 years, and I just thought I'd share it, you know. I know that a lot of you guys are just getting into this. I know a lot of you guys have been doing this for a really long time. If you have any experiences, if you have any knowledge you want to share, comment down below. You know, like, I love to hear other people's techniques and other people's experiences with this kind of stuff. So astral projection. I've had some really interesting experiences. Well, talk about entity contact too, maybe towards the end, because like, well, astral projection and entity contact we could talk about like hand in hand, because it's kind of one and the same. Since you're astral projecting, sometimes you're projecting your light, your energy into somebody's dream, or somebody's doing that, you know, like they're doing the same. It's like, I've had projection experiences with other beings, you know, extraterrestrial, whatever you want to call them, but they weren't from here. Maybe it was the imagination, I don't know, but it seemed to be another entity, another soul from sometimes another time period, like a time traveler, or a gray, you know, or a mantid, or, you know, like any you know, being. Anyway, so the astral projection, for me, it's really random. Like, I don't even know how to give advice about this, because the reason why I know how to astral project is because it runs in the family. My grandfather was my great-great-grandfather was a astral projector, or my great-grandfather was my grandfather's father. And she would always tell me stories about how he would astral project all the time and go back to Puerto Rico and hang out with his friends because he was in America. So yeah, it just kind of runs in the family. Like, there's psychic, it's in everybody's psychic. Everybody has these abilities. Everybody could tap into them. You know what I mean? And that's what this whole entire channel is about. Exploring that, and hopefully this can inspire you to tap into that in your own way. Set your own time to do this every single day, because like, that's what I do. I set time every day to do this, and I kind of make it like a routine, you know what I mean? So like, that's basically how you do it. You gotta work at something. It's like will and work. And also for me at least, knowing that I'm always connected, because sometimes like when you're putting the TV on and like, you know, third eye's not working, like you're not having any visions, nothing, you're not having, like, it's just nothing's happening. It's time to chill out. Like, it's time to just rest. Sometimes you need rest and to reflect and to in recovery and to have time to yourself. So don't try to overwork yourself. Don't try to make it happen. You just have to know that you are always connected. You're always connected. You know, there is nothing separating you but the idea, the perception of not being connected. So you are. Anyway, so astral projection, this just kind of happens. I don't know even how I do it, but I just wake up and I'm just lucid of it. Sometimes I've had one experience in a DMT trip of astral projection, and it's kind of similar. Like, I become lucid when my astral body is projecting and I'm having this experience. And it can also be related to remote viewing, because I've had experiences where I'm like, again, over here, you know what I mean? Like flying over, and I can see everything and I know what's going on, and like, you can grab information, you can grab psychic information from it and like know what the hell's going on. I've had dreams of people and I know like what's going on. They don't have to tell me, I know. You know, so like life becomes a lot more psychic. You don't have to really communicate like with the mouth noises like us monkeys do, as much, because everything's very psychic. So you already know. And vibes don't lie. I know that's like pretty wook, but no offense to the wooks, but you know, it's real. Like, I know when someone has this really, you know, like, not kind of weird vibe, like, you know, vibes don't lie. And you can tell with your astral projection experiences and your, like, you can like almost, you can walk through walls. You know, you can see things from an aerial view. You can see through things. So these are all experiences that I've had. And again, I don't know how, but it just happens. And I don't know, it's just something that like I pop into this experience where, like, one time I was recently I was in the Andes, and I was I was astral projecting, and I realized that I was like afraid of heights, but I was astral projecting. And then you realize, like, that's when you become lucid, and you're just like, this is my astral body. Like, this is not real. This is like a simulation. This is all in my mind, you know? And then you realize that, and then like you become aware. And like, that's one thing that I've been realizing. My astral projection experiences are helping me, again, like my lucid experiences, helping me be less fearful of certain things in my life, like a fear of heights. That's one thing that I have. It's really funny because I know it's ridiculous. And even in my lucid states or in my astral states, it becomes even more ridiculous. Like, the concept of a fear of heights, bitch, you're in the sky. Like, like, it seems absolutely ridiculous. And it's like very comical, you know what I mean? Like, my subconscious is like very comical, and it's just like, it has this like sense of humor, you know, and wit, that it's just like, that's why I keep on going back, because it just makes you like just make light of something that secretly really terrifies you, you know? And another experience I had with, like, it's actually helped me. Like, I've had astral experiences where, like, I'm in the Andes, like, or I'm in like the forest. Like, I'm always in the forest. I don't know why. Like, I'm always like in Peru or Costa Rica or like Colombia, or like I'm always like in the forest, like like bushes and trees, and like it's so lush. And like, I saw the zip line, and like I'm afraid of heights, and like my subconscious is trying, or my higher self is trying to work through my fear, and I have to go in the zip line. I'm like, no, I'm too afraid. So it makes it smaller. And like, again, this is a trigger. This is a trigger to, like, you're sleeping, you're asleep, you should know this. Like, it's giving you little hints so you become lucid, but at the same time, it's helping you through your anxiety, or it's helping you through fear. So that's how I use my astral state sometimes. Another thing that was really funny was, like, I was astral projecting again in the Amazon with my partner, and we wanted to take a selfie in the sky. Like, in the sky, like an aerial selfie. And I tried, and I'm like, oh, wait a minute, I'm dreaming. And like, again, another trigger to wake you up, you know? Like, sometimes I always miss them. Like, sometimes I get them, you know, sometimes I totally get them, and sometimes I miss them. Another astral projection, let's see, I just, like, I go from, like, I visit friends. Oh, that's what I wanted to talk about. There are different types of astral projections for me. The first one is flying over, you know, so it's like you flying over something and going somewhere. So you're like, and like, sometimes it's like going across a map. Like, you actually see a map and you see yourself traveling from one point to the other. That's an astral projection experience for me. Another astral experience is, like, again, like a YouTube video from the top of my head until here, my bust, like you will see that, and you can take your projection, like the projection of your light and your energy, to somebody else's dream, and somebody else can do that to you. So I've had experiences like that in contact with ETs, with astral travelers, with, you know, any entity. I've had that with people I know. I've had that with friends, with family. I've had that with even random people on the internet that I don't even know. Like, it's just a bust of them like this. I've also had this type of experience when thinking about my own life and career, and experiencing this in a meditation where I just see a projection of myself, and how basically you're projecting this image of yourself, and it's what you believe you truly are, but again, it is just an illusion. It's just like, it's amazing, you know, like, I've had an astral projection experience like that. Like, when I say astral projection, I don't mean like traveling, but I mean your projected image or a copy of you is sent somewhere else. Like, that's what it is. That's what I see. And like, I had that with my dog too. Like, it's really weird. And it just like, it made me realize like what a psychic connection we truly have. So yeah, I'm just trying to think if there are other techniques that I use. Honestly, try not to go to sleep very tired. Take Oramus, but take Oramus in a little amount. Don't get heroic on that. Like, unless you prepare your mind, you know what you're getting into, you prepared for this, because again, for me, Oramus is very psychedelic and it's very strong. Like, so I can only take one drop at a time. Also, I like to meditate in water. That really helps me, with crystals all around. Like, that's what I do. It's literally a ritual that I've created, of a bath with essential oils, and salts and herbs and crystals all around me, you know, and binaural beats. And like, again, it takes you in flower petals and roses, it takes you into those altered states, and you really can grab a lot of information, and sometimes even a clairaudience, you know, where I'll have like this like perception upgrade, or like I feel a shift, and then I'll hear a frequency within the left or the right ear. But it's not just hearing a frequency, it's feeling the energy, like feeling this blast of energy, with a download of like psychic telepathic information. And again, you know, a lot of you guys have also confirmed. It's really funny, a lot of people say, oh, you know, you make this up. Why the hell are we all experiencing this? Because I know I'm not the only one. You guys tell me. You know, and so yeah, that's I like to do that. With water. What else do I do? If you're going to try to astral project, no drugs. Like, it just sucks, because like, I love weed. And it helps. Like, marijuana is an entheogen, and it is not only, you know, medicinal uses, the CBD oil, but also it helps with like anxiety, depression. It helps, again, to get in that psychic like zone, get in alignment. Like, I have so many deep, profound downloads with that. So I would say like, take some time off to like not do any not smoke any weed. That kind of interferes with, in my experience. Not, I mean, I'm just saying, like, for me, like, it sucks, because like, I like to smoke weed. You know, like, sometimes like I'd like to take breaks so I can astral project, and I find when I don't smoke at all, I astral project a lot more. So that works for me. Another thing you can do Use crystals, use abalone shells. Like, this is all things you could use. I put one right next to my bed. I put my crystals. Meditating on a crystal really works, again, for me. If crystals and sage aren't really working for you, you're probably not using them right. You know, like, I mean, like, these are all tools, these, like herbs, these are all things that can be tools, and when used properly, they really do make a difference. And again, it might be all in your mind, but it works. You know, so try, if you, for lucid dreaming and to clear your dreams, you could smudge with a abalone shell. I have a crystal one. I'll insert the image. Hold on, let me just grab one. All right, I had to grab it. So I use this. I made this myself, and this is for me. No, this is not for sale, but you get something like this on my store. But yeah, so I use this shell, and what you could do is you could put some sand in it, and then some coal, some more sand, and then like a mix of herbs and like white sage, and you could burn that, and like that really helps when you're going into that like lucid state. Just make sure to be really careful with it. You don't want to like set a fire or anything like while you're sleeping. But yeah, I like to use that as a tool to help me while I'm sleeping. So let me see, what else can advice? I don't really know. The thing is, like, just when I know that, like, I know a little bit, like, I know that there's so much more that I could learn, and it's constantly learning more and more and more and more and more. And I'm always gonna have to update this with, again, more stuff that I know, because, again, this is all stuff that I've learned, and stuff that all pretty much works for me. Blinders, I really love blinders. Creating a type of routine with this, drinking a lot of water, eating a lot of good foods, keeping a very, like, you need to, like, sometimes I'll recognize that there's just like this anger within me. I have to recognize that and understand that and confront that, and you know, there's a lot of work that goes into this, you know what I mean? And when you miss it in your everyday life, your lucid state, you know, oh, I just got clear audience right here. That's a first that actually happened on camera. Wow. You takes me off. Okay, so yeah, so I guess that was something to think about. Another thing that helps me is, let me see, I had it and then I forgot it. A dream journal, there you go. Always keep a dream journal, because for me, in the morning, I will have such intense dreams. If I don't write it down, I'll forget it. So keep one right next to your bed. This will help also with the hypnagogic hallucinations too, because sometimes I forget that as well. Even in the middle of the night, if you have a dream in the middle of the night, try to stay up, jot it down really quickly. And also being a little bit awake when you're going back to sleep will help you jump right back into that dream, because, like, again, you know, like, you're aware of it, you know it happened. Another thing I was gonna say, what else? Don't watch scary things right before you go to sleep. I know it's not gonna kill you, but honestly, like, you don't want to have murder dreams, you know, like all night. Like, that's another, like, anything like that right before you're sleeping. Be mindful of what you're watching, because then you're just gonna have a dream about zombies, you know what I mean? They're like, you know, something scary. Like, I actually watched one about like this, like, it was a movie about like a serial killer or whatever, and they're like annoying the person. Well, I literally watched that and then fell asleep and then had a lucid dream of being like chased by like a crazy person. You know what I mean? Like, so try none of that kind of stuff. Be mindful of what you're watching, be mindful of what you're putting your attention to, and be mindful of what you're putting up here and in here in your body in general. What else? Oh, I thought that I didn't have anything else to say, but I guess after jogging my mind, figure out there's a lot more to say. Let's see. I don't know. I think I got it all, and I hope that helped, guys. Like, it's a lot. I see a lot of like the, let's see if I'm like forgetting something. In my hypnagogic states, I see a lot of the Mayan calendar codes, a lot of stuff like that. I thought they were widgets at first, but once I again did some research, I realized, no, you're seeing, you know, these like calendars and like these cycles and like these wheels and like there's so many things you see. Like, all right, you see, I have to, it cut off. You see the singularity point, like you see a lot of these things, and like there's so many other experiences I can talk to you guys about, different things to look out for, because again, you know, you guys are contacting me and telling me you're also experiencing this, I'm experiencing this, we're having this, you know, experience together, and yeah, you know, we're all different. But at the same time, we are collectively here having this experience together, individually and collectively, and that's the paradox. So yeah, I hope you guys got, you know, anything out of that. If you guys did, if not, I'm sorry. I tried, and I just wanted to come on here when I had some really important information to share, and like when it's right, when it's time, when I've had time to reflect, when I've had time to experience and have these experiences, and to be creative, you know, and I hope that inspires you as well. If you guys want to support this channel, go check out my store. I've been doing a lot of stuff recently, and I'm really proud because it's everything I use. It's everything that's like in my life and a part of my life. And for all of you guys, even comments, even people that don't agree with me, everybody, like, thank you. Like, thank you for just for hearing me, you know, and allowing me to express myself, and just hearing this experience. Anyway, yeah. Anyway, reflections. Anybody that donated, I know I thank people, and people are like, what? I have to. I'm a nice person. If somebody, you know, is kind enough to donate, and I never ask, but if you're kind enough to even do that, I thank you. And thank you to at A Nason, Alex Nason. If I haven't thanked you again, thank you. Thank you to JT, and you know, anyone that's like messaged me and shared their experience or anything like that. Thank you. I'm just really grateful, and you know, just becoming more aware of how blessed, you know, I really am, even though sometimes it's really hard to see the good, you know, when it's really hard to see the good, and it's really hard to keep a smile on and to be really positive in the face of adversity, in the face of, you know, psychosis and not being sure, but you have courage, and that's enough. Anyway, reflections. I hope that helped, and I hope you're having an awesome, awesome, awesome day.